Well, hello and welcome to I Love Gay today. And this is a very, very special episode. We are here with my friend Alan Beck from Fun Travel Guides. How are you, Alan?
I'm doing fine, Matt. Good to see you.
I think it's so wonderful and important to have you here on on this video and so forth because you are one of those very, very few people that, for those that don't know you, that you've been in the LGBT travel world for well over 30 years now. Yes.
Correct.
Yeah. You started Fun Maps back in the day. Tell us about all that.
Well, in 1989, I met quite by chance the third publisher of what used to be called the David James Press. And these maps were made for gay and lesbian travelers. And I have one of Long Island here. And if you
Wow.
notice the name up top, the David
Yeah.
James Press,
Yeah.
and they were very uh, simple, uh, made in two colors for areas across the United States, and pointed the way for a gay or lesbian traveler to find their way. And this business was started by a man by the name of David Carpenter
Yeah.
uh, on the money from junk bonds from his partner, whose name was James someone, and hence David James Press. It
Yeah.
started in Brooklyn, and he ran the company for 3 years. A second publisher stepped into the breach, and that company was owned by a man by the name of Michael Beauvoir. Um, and the name of the company was and still is Rivendell Marketing.
Okay.
Uh, they were doing other things at the time. They were in, I believe it was the music business,
Yeah. Yeah.
promoting music. And being a gay man, he was interested in taking over the publication, and he ran it for 3 years.
Yeah.
The third publisher, who I met quite by coincidence, Jeff Goodman, really expanded the company and took it into not only across the United States, but took it into Canada and was producing maps of Montreal, Toronto, Vancouver, and Alberta.
Okay.
Um, and we met at a forum, which was how to, I was looking to grow my map business, and he was looking to collect his monies, which were from his far-flung enterprise at this point,
Yeah.
and he was having problems collecting money. We happened to sit next to each other, and when I introduced myself, I said, I'm Alan Beck from Columbia Marketing Corporation, and we make maps, directories for commerce and industry, for chambers of commerce, with a niche in the real estate market. Well, Jeff sitting next to me says, I make maps too for gay and lesbian travelers. Well, I did a double take. We became instant friends.
Yeah.
And over the next year or so, I mentored him in some things that he was doing. And the bottom line is he wasn't really making it in the way the publication was put together, and the money that was owed him, he wasn't able to collect.
Yeah.
So being on the brink of bankruptcy in 1991, he called me up and said, are you interested in taking over my company?
Yeah.
And before that, actually, he saw our Long Island Fun Map, a tourism map that we made for the Long Island Tourism Commission.
Yeah.
And he said, I love the name Fun Map. Fun Map.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he said, can I use it? I said, sure, if you are only working in the gay and lesbian area, I have no problem. Our maps serve realtors and chambers of commerce, and no problem.
Yeah.
So I licensed him the name Fun Maps, and he changed it slightly to Fun Map. And the last maps that he produced, and let's see, I don't have one here handy, but the last maps that he produced were actually the David James Press Fun Map. One word, capital F and capital M.
Yeah.
And it was the beginning of the .com era.
Yeah.
And I wasn't really tuned into it that much at that point, although I became tuned in rather rapidly. And I'll tell that story in a few minutes.
Yeah.
Okay. I know Matt is already smiling because he's involved. I took over at first as two salesmen, and they were doing a map for me I didn't yet take over the company. They were doing a map for the company of Queens, New York.
Yeah.
And to be a little punny, I had two queens in Queens. They did a great job.
Yeah.
And at the end of the job, they said, look, we see you're a good businessman. We'd like to work with you, and we'd really like to serve the community, which we've been doing.
Yeah.
And we can have it happen with you at the helm. I not only was flattered, I rose to the occasion and looked at the model, realized that it was similar to things that we were doing in representing chambers of commerce,
Yeah.
where we would go into a locale and get a letter from the chamber introducing us, and we would sell the merchants in that area.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bases around the border of the map. And this was the same model, except it focused in on LGBT,
Yeah. Yeah.
a term not used at that time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So within 3 months, we were turning a profit. I took over the company in February of 1992.
Mm.
In 3 months, we were turning a profit. Our maps were seen all up and down the East Coast. I inherited the maps from the David James Press, and we put those in boxes that look like this.
Yeah.
The local map, if it was, well, let's take this out. If the local area is Miami, you would have a Miami card right behind the maps, and then other cards behind that would show the different areas of the country.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you were unique in all that, though. What's interesting is that you really bring to the table some old-fashioned, not just salesmanship, but you were a true road warrior, probably before anyone else was in the LGBT world. And you'd get behind the car and behind the wheel in your car, and you'd go all over the country. You would not only distribute and make sure those maps were well placed in gay bars everywhere around the U.S. and Canada. You knew all the right places to go to, and you just knew how to maintain relationships with your advertiser base that was probably second to none.
Well, thank you for the compliment. And
It's true.
And they weren't only in gay bars, Matt. They, as you know, they were in accommodations, beds and breakfasts, hotels, at events. We showed up at events all over the country. And the story briefly that I'll tell you is where I met Matt was in Palm Springs, I believe 93, 4, somewhere around that time.
Yeah.
And we had our booths next to each other. And by that time, I didn't have to do a double take.
Yep.
And Matt helped build our first website, funmaps.com.
I remember all that. I think especially at the time, especially the time when we were first starting to talk to you and work with you, the whole idea was, that was when Google and search was just also coming along in its infancy. And so the goal was, of course, not only to have a website, but I remember to try to be one of the first ones. You type in gay bar Fort Lauderdale, gay bar Palm Springs, make it so that funmaps.com was one of the first places to show up. And it worked for quite a while.
It worked for several years, yes.
Yeah.
My friendly competitor and good friend, Scott Gatz, who came from a Yahoo background, started a company called gaycities.com.
Yeah.
And we talked at the early stages of his career in mapping. And I suggested that we amalgamate, and he do the digital aspect and I stay with the print.
Yeah.
And his choice was that he wanted to just do digital.
Yeah.
I felt that the two could coexist beside each other. We're still good friends and friendly competitors.
Well, especially because it's not just Gay Cities, but it's also like when you and I have chatted about this for years, but Google and the rest, they've also become such top competitors because you're on your phone, you type in gay bar and it's either Fun Maps, Gay Cities, but first and foremost, above all, is Google with all their listings. And so it's a whole different world when it comes to trying to stand out.
Exactly. And a little further down the road, the heyday for Fun Maps, I would say, was between 2009 and 2013.
Yeah.
I really began to see the beginning of the decline in paper maps and the rise in the digital. There was an offer that was made to me that I felt was going to be my retirement. And unfortunately, it didn't work out that way. I'll leave it.
And now you have fun travel guides.
Correct. After I sold the company and it was taken into bankruptcy, I started a new brand called Fun Travel Guides and funtravelguides.com. And and also we now have an app, Fun Travel Guides, that you can download. And find all things like the local weather, the events that are happening currently in over 40 cities across the United States and Canada, the beds and breakfast accommodations, attractions, dining and entertainment, and bars and clubs, and resources, shopping and services, and transportation. So it covers the whole gamut of things that you'd be looking for when traveling from one city to another. Instead of the boxes being everywhere with all the cities in them, the phone is now everywhere, and you can use your phone to find places close by or across the country, indeed on other continents as well.
Yeah. Since you're the consummate salesman, I mean, a big part of your success has been the fact that you created a product and you knew how to go out there and tell people about it. And especially through all those relationships, are you finding that through the sales cycle, the relationships that online and so forth, are they following you along and are they eager and excited for things like this?
A great many of them are, Matt. And with the pandemic that happened over the past year and a half, we've lost a lot of ground. I've shrunk the company, and I'm looking for good entrepreneurial people. I'd love to have somebody who comes to me and says, I can build your, not build the website because the website is built, but take your website to the next level.
Yeah.
And that person could end up being the prince of LGBTQ plus or princess.
I hear you. But where do you see it, especially changing gears a little, but talking more generally about, I was just down there in Fort Lauderdale with you, and I know a big part of, I've interviewed Richard Gray from the Visit Lauderdale and so forth. But where do you see things? I mean, we've gone through a crazy year, but now do you see hope and progress and things moving forward when it comes to travel, especially even in your area in Florida there?
Very definitely. The cruise ships are sailing again. I just was watching the news last night, and one of the biggest and most modern cruise ships was out at sea. It was a Carnival ship. Royal Caribbean sails out of Miami and Fort Lauderdale, and all the large cruise lines are here.
Okay.
So yes, definitely the cruise ships are back. People are flocking to the beaches. Over Memorial Day weekend was a huge success. Even with some catastrophes that happened, like in Surfside, if anybody hasn't heard about it, it's a large condominium that fell down, and a large number of people were killed or are unaccounted for. In spite of that, tourism is back in South Florida and other areas and will continue to grow as the pandemic continues to wane. Get back to
Exactly. No, I sensed that. When I was with you, it was during Pride, Stonewall Pride, and in Wilton Manors there, and it was packed. It was a full house of people, and the excitement and the energy was definitely there, and it was back.
I saw that, and all the maps that were in our boxes were taken, and we talked digital to a few people who came over and were looking to be a possible buyer of our advertising.
Yeah, excellent. Well, I know the exciting part is that I'm going to be able to see you here soon because we're all going to Atlanta for an IGLTA convention.
Yep, you might see me earlier than that. I'm going to be in the New York area over the 4th of July weekend.
Oh, perfect. I would like that. So, no, I think it's wonderful. And I was just really, I know we were going to try to do this while we were in Fort Lauderdale. So I'm really glad we were able to make this happen and carve out some time to just, talk to you to get, share your story and let folks know what you've been up to here. And like I said, look forward to being able to connect again.
Well, we have a company on the rebound. There's room for everybody, and looking to continue fun travel guides on into the future.
Sounds perfect. Well, I'll see you soon.
Cool.
Thanks.
Thanks.
So good, coming back again.